Pretty privilege does not outweigh spiritual rank. I guess this was kind of foolish of me, and I'll accept that, but I kind of assumed when I entered into spirituality, or what others call the conscious community, that I would be amongst individuals of an elevated state of mind. So it's kind of disheartening to have dreams of this nature and to have to do these sort of low vibrational videos, which I consider low vibrational because these are lessons that I would think you wouldn't have to teach to people who are in the conscious community. But a lot of people come into spirituality for different reasons, and for some it's like well, it is magic. For some of them it's like a quick fix. Like a lot of people get into spirituality and they want to do magic. They want to do, they want to make things change, or they want to manifest, and they get frustrated, or they say it doesn't work, or they say it's not real, or they end up coming into encounters. Have y'all ever seen those videos? And I've talked about this in many previous videos of people who get into spirituality and then they're like, that's the devil's work. They go back to Christianity or whatever previous religion they were in, because they're like, when they open that door, all sorts of demons and negative entities came through. And that's because you are not pure of heart. Like I say this a dozen times, and no matter how many times I say it, I'm going to continue to say it, because there may be someone new who comes across my channel who may be entering spirituality into the first time. That's why it's important to do your shadow work. That's why it's important to do your shadow work for the third time, because the third time is the charm. That's why it's important to do your shadow work. When you start creating altars, when you start lighting candles, when you start doing spiritual work, and when you start opening that door to spirit, if you are not pure of heart, if there is hate, jealousy, malice, intent in your heart, when you open that door, what's coming across from the other side is not what you think it is. Higher vibrational beings are not going to sit down and connect with you when you have this low vibrational way of living and this low vibrational way of thinking. Higher vibrational beings don't connect with that. So it's important to do your shadow work first. That's why a lot of y'all are doing these manifestations and you're wondering why they're not working, because you're not pure of heart. It's all about the intent. It's all about the intent behind it. Now, this dream in particular, and for those of you that are new, because I've had like a lot of recent subscribers, I just want to explain this. 90% of my videos come from dreams that I'm given. I'm a very, very, very vivid dreamer. I dream every night. Most nights I have multiple dreams, and I pick the ones that kind of stand out to create content on. And also I get downloads and I have visions. But this is a dream, and in this dream, it is two divine feminines, right? But like I say, just because you're divine feminine and you come across another divine feminine, there's still spiritual rank at play. So there's two divine feminines and a divine masculine, and they're at work. And divine masculine is a singer. He can sing very well, might I add you. So divine masculine starts singing this beautiful song, and then divine feminine starts dancing. One of the divine feminines starts dancing, and when she starts dancing, she gets like everybody's attention. Everybody's looking at her. She's beautiful. Something about her aura, her energy, the way she moves is like captivating. And then this divine masculine starts looking at her, and as she's dancing, he starts singing more and more. Now, this other divine feminine, she also has a beautiful voice, a gorgeous voice. She knows the song divine masculine is singing, so she starts singing as well, and she's joining in with him. But she's noticing that even as she's singing, everyone's paying more attention to the other divine feminine and divine masculine, and the other divine masculine is slowly moving closer to the other divine feminine, and this feminine gets jealous. She gets jealous. So, and there's something about like tribes, like these two divine feminines and this masculine are all from different tribes. They're from different spiritual tribes. So the other divine feminine goes up to the divine feminine that's dancing, and she puts her hands around her shoulders, and she's like, no, this is how we do it in my tribe. This is how we do it in my tribe. And as soon as she touches divine feminine, it's like divine feminine gets like this, it's like this shot of energy goes through her, but she doesn't like it. She doesn't like it at all. And it's so weird, because even though this other divine feminine simply places her hands on divine feminine's shoulders, to the divine feminine that was dancing, it almost felt like a chokehold. And it's because that divine feminine can sense the other divine feminine's negative energy. She can sense the jealousy and the malice that this divine feminine has towards her. And it's one of those things where it's like, when you're dancing, like you dance, you do however you want to do. Dancing is another form of expression. You express yourself however you want to. So when this other divine feminine went up to her and was like, no, let me show you how you're doing it. You're doing it wrong. It was more of like a, hey, everybody look at me. Look at how I do it. She was simply just trying to get everyone's attention, because she was mad that no matter what she did, no one was paying attention to her. So she puts her arms on Divine Feminine's shoulders, and immediately this feels like an energetic chokehold to the Divine Feminine that's dancing. So the Divine Feminine I'm just gonna say number one and number two. Number one is the one that's dancing. Number two is the one that's jealous. So Divine Feminine number one tells Divine Feminine number two, get your hands off of me. And she's like, no, I'm trying to show you how to do it. You're doing it wrong. And she tells her for a second time to get your hands off of me. And she's like, I'm just trying to show you how to do it the right way. I'm trying to show you how we do it in my tribe. And like I say, the third time is the charm. So the third time, Divine Feminine number one turns around and she gives her like a shove, right? She gives her a shove, and they get into not like a fight, but kind of like a little tussle, right? Just a slight little tussle. And so the boss comes out and he's like, hey, what's going on? And Divine Feminine number two tries to say, oh, she attacked me. I was just trying to help her with something. She attacked me. And her intent was to try to get Divine Feminine number one in trouble. But see, Spirit doesn't work like that. Spirit doesn't work that way. And everybody else goes, no, she started it. She put her hands on Divine Feminine first. So Divine Feminine number two was newer. She was newer to the job, whereas Divine Feminine number one had been there a little longer. And when Divine Feminine number one started, she made it clear and she said, hey, I want to let everybody know that I'm really sensitive. She said, I'm really sensitive. And she says, I get like this kind of, it makes me uncomfortable when people touch me. So she was like, if you need any help, if you need anything, speak to me. If you talk to me, I'll respond. I'll do anything to help anybody. But she says, I just want to make a polite request that it makes me highly uncomfortable when people touch me. So please don't touch me. So everyone at the job, excluding Divine Feminine number two, was aware of this. So when Divine Feminine number two tried to make it seem like Divine Feminine number one attacked her when she was simply quote unquote trying to help, everybody else was like, no, she violated Divine Feminine number one's personal space. We all are very aware that Divine Feminine number one is sensitive and she doesn't like to be touched. Divine Feminine number two touched her and would not let go, despite the 2 times Divine Feminine number one told her to let go of me. So the boss said, okay, I've heard enough. Divine Feminine number two, get your things and go. And Divine Feminine number two is like, something about my tribe is not going to like this. And she's like, okay, but she's like, my tribe is not going to like this. This is not fair. I'm going to take this to HR. And the boss tells her, if you want to take it to HR, that's completely up to you. But if you do that, everyone here is going to have to write a statement about what happened. And if they take action, you will be the one to lose your job. So I highly suggest that you rethink taking that action unless you want to face some serious consequences, because you put your hands on her first. So therefore you initiated it, even though you did not put your hands on her in a seemingly aggressive way. By you physically putting your hands on her, you initiated, because she would have never had to have shoved you or gotten you off of her if you were never on her to begin with. So Divine Feminine number two gets an attitude and she leaves, and the dream pretty much ends there. See, Divine Feminine number two, here's the problem. Divine Feminine number two, in terms of worldly standards, was more attractive than Divine Feminine number one in terms of worldly standards. So she assumed, like, she knew Divine Feminine number one was a divine. She knew that she was a divine, and she foolishly assumed that because she was more attractive, that she was higher ranking, but that was not the case. That was not the case. And she was making it seem like, oh, my tribe is going to be upset, but they are going to be upset when she returns, but they're going to be upset at her because she just violated a being that was higher ranking than her. So her tribe, her tribe is going to get backlash for that. They're going to get backlash for that. So I want people to understand that although we have multiple divine beings walking this earth, spiritual rank is still at play. Spiritual rank is still at play. Like I said, the third time is a charm. Spiritual rank is still at play. So while things like pretty privilege and the brown paper back test may get you ahead by worldly standards, none of that matters when it comes to the spirit. None of that matters, right? And spirit can see. That's why I say when I tell people, Spirit can see what we sometimes can't. And spirit can see the hate and the malice and the jealousy that was in your heart. See, people always assume that in order for you to get divine justice, in order for divine justice to come at play, that there has to be some big grand scheme. People assume that the little things that they do, like the little games that they play, right? The little day-to-day tactics, toxic tactics, I call it, that they like to participate in. People assume that spirit kind of passes that by because it's on a smaller scale, but that's not true. Spirit sees everything. And people assume, and like here's the kicker, right? people assume that when they do something to a divine being, or when they do something to someone, because most of the time when they're doing something, they don't realize it's a divine being. Most of the time when they're doing this, they don't realize that this person actually outranks them. But most of the time when people do this and the divine being doesn't react, they assume that they won. They assume that they got some kind of leg up over this person, but it's actually the exact opposite. See, you would actually be better off if this person actually fought back. You would be better off if this person fought back, because when spirit sees that, and spirit sees this divine being is taking up for themselves, they tend to leave it in their hands to a certain extent. Now, once it goes too far, spirit's going to step in regardless, but they tend to let the divine being fight their own battles when they see that they are actually sticking up for themselves. It's when the divine being walks away. It's when the divine being takes a blind eye. It's when the divine being turns the other cheek that it's almost like they're tagging their spirit team in, because their spirit team is like, oh no, you just crossed one of ours. Oh no, something has to be done. And if that divine being is not going to handle it, we're going to handle it. So like your worst nightmare is going against a divine being and them walking away and turning the other cheek. That's your worst nightmare, because then spirit is going to step in. So a lot of people who are like, my manifestations aren't working, and that's simply small scale. Like my magic isn't working, my manifestations isn't working, or why am I having, a lot of people assume like, oh, I'm having so much trouble at the job, or I'm having this and that, and I can't pay my bills. I must have something bigger coming in. You have to really look at your heart to see if that message is like, when other readers are doing messages like, oh, everything is going to fall apart before it comes together. That's absolutely true. That is how things work, because spirit has to make room, even for people who are like doing money spells. Like if you're a divine being and you're doing money spells and you're like, when's this money going to come in? Are you creating an avenue? I just watched a video by Astro Poppy, and I absolutely love the way that he explained it, because I've said this so many times in other videos. If you're doing money spells for spirit to bring money in, unless you play the lottery, you know what I mean? Unless you play the lottery, and that's the way, and please don't go out here buying a bunch of lottery tickets. That's not what I'm telling you to do. But unless you play the lottery, that's the only way that spirit could randomly bring a large sum of money into your life. Most of the time, spirit is going to bring this in by way of you following your purpose, you living in your divine purpose, you following your heart. So when you tell spirit, hey, I want money, I can't pay my bills, hey, I need, this, spirit's reply to you is, okay, so what are you doing to help us facilitate this? You want more money? We'll give you more money. But you have to create an avenue, right? You have to create a way for this money to flow in. So if you're thinking about starting that business, do it, because that's the avenue by which spirit is going to bring this abundance in, especially if it's within your divine purpose. And if you're someone and you're like, well, I don't know my divine purpose, you have some more soul searching to do. And you might want to look into getting a spiritual mentor, or a life coach, but more specifically a spiritual life coach or a spiritual mentor if you are having trouble uncovering, or what do they call it? Uncovering, whatever the word is, determining what your spiritual path or your spiritual purpose is. A lot of that is written within your natal chart. So you have to pull your natal chart as well. There are hundreds, thousands of videos online about natal charts, your north node, to help you discover your divine purpose. But most of the time, you know what it is. And most of the time it's that thing that people are like, oh, that's not going to make any money. Most of the time that's what it is. Or it's that thing that you're like overly critical about yourself on, well, oh, I'm not good enough. Who's going to want to come, and who's going to want to get these services from me? You'd be surprised. The need is out there. You just have to offer the service. But anyways, like I said, a lot of this time, because I got completely off track, y'all. A lot of the times things like, a lot of the time things like your manifestations or your magic not working, maybe spirit telling you that you need to do some more shadow work, you need to clean up your act. But like I said, bigger things like losing your job, losing your home, like your car randomly breaking down, things catching on fire. Most of the time, that is the way that spirit is teaching you a lesson, by things that you're doing that you're not supposed to be doing, especially when you're attacking someone who has done absolutely nothing to you. Y'all know, because have y'all ever had people who, like, you don't know this person, you've never said 2 words to them, they have no reason not to like you, but have y'all ever had those people who just don't like you for no reason? You've never given them any reason, but they've just made it up in their mind that they don't like you, and then you always see all type of things, like they're always falling ill, they're always, having all these financial catastrophes, there's always something going on within their family dynamic. That is because spirit is trying to clean out and trying to clear out that hate and that malice that's in their heart, because that person may actually be doing things behind the scene that you're not aware of, or they may be thinking in their mind of things to do, and spirit's like, we're going to go ahead and stop that. You have too much time on your hands to be trying to create trouble for this divine being. So what we're going to do is we're going to create trouble in your life so that you don't have the time and the energy to go out creating trouble against someone and it's not even warranted. It's not warranted, right? But you can't get over on spirit. You can't. You can try as you may to get over on a divine being. And if you do, then you have to deal with spirit. And there is no getting over on spirit.
And I think the reason this irritates me so much is because not only have I experienced this firsthand, but I've also witnessed other women go through this at school and in the work environment. This still happens even amongst adult women, where women will try to belittle, or a woman or group of women will try to belittle another woman over physical appearance, especially when a man is involved, especially if there is a man involved and he likes the other woman, or he pays more attention to one woman and other women feel like they look better than her. It's like, for some reason, women can't stand that. Women can't stand that, and they get so aggressive. There are so many femininity coaches out there that are telling women to be more feminine. All you have to do is dress the part, start wearing dresses, wear high heels, get your hair done, your nails done, don't leave the house without makeup. Femininity is so much more than that. It is so much more than just the aesthetics. It is so much more than just physical appearance. Femininity is how you move. It's how you speak. It's how you conduct yourself, how you choose to handle situations. It's more than just physical appearance. And there's something about women, especially when they see another woman as competition, that brings out the aggression in them, that brings out the masculinity in them, and people want to hide behind makeup and call themselves feminine while behaving so nasty. True divine feminines respect one another, right? And it's like, y'all, so many women that I've seen that will look down on another woman, especially if they feel like they look better, right? If they feel like they dress better, right? If they feel like they have a higher status, like they have a better job, they have more money, they have more material items. If they, especially if this woman is a plain Jane. Y'all, I don't know what it is about natural women that make other women, like, that really make other women get in their feelings. Y'all, I never understood that. There's nothing wrong with makeup. If you like, first of all, makeup is like it's another art form. It's a way for you to show your creativity on yourself or on your clients if you do this for a living. There's nothing wrong with wearing makeup if wearing makeup is what you truly enjoy. But there's a difference between wearing makeup because you enjoy it and wearing makeup because you hide behind it. I can't stand to see when a woman who uses tools, because makeup, they're tools. I can't stand to see a woman who uses tools to enhance her beauty, to try to talk down on a woman who is comfortable enough to walk around in her natural beauty. You cannot compare the enhanced version of yourself to someone's natural state. The two do not compare. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with wearing makeup if that's what you truly enjoy. But there's a big difference between wearing makeup because you enjoy it and hiding behind it. It's something about the confidence of a natural woman that really gets under other women's skin. Because I've seen so many women try to tear a woman down, like, oh my God, I can't believe she left the house like that. Like what? I don't see any, like what? I don't see anything wrong with her. What are y'all talking about? She doesn't have any makeup on. Is that it? Is that it? Are y'all really over here in a huddle speaking about this woman, about you can't believe she left the house like that, as if she had stains or holes in her clothing? And all you guys are talking about is the fact that she doesn't have makeup, and she doesn't need it. She's gorgeous. She's beautiful. She doesn't need it. And you don't know why. She might choose not to wear makeup. She might can't wear makeup. She might have sensitive skin to where makeup breaks out her skin. You guys don't know. And I don't understand why you care. And you know why a lot of people care is because they know that they don't have that same confidence. It's not the fact that she doesn't wear makeup that they don't like. It's the fact that she has confidence. And they despise her confidence because they don't have it. Because a lot of women that shame women for not wearing makeup, what they won't tell you is that the reason they won't leave the house without it is because they don't feel attractive in their natural state. They don't feel beautiful in their natural state. They don't have the self-confidence and the self-assurance to leave the house without hiding behind that artificial facade. But they want to shame the person that does. I can't stand that. It's like that herd mentality. It's like the same thing back in high school. And I don't get it because I'm like, you know, even back in high school, you always saw like The person who was bold enough and brave enough to stand alone, the person who was bold enough and brave enough to be their true, authentic self, always got picked on by the people who were following the herd, the people who were conformists, the people who did and said whatever they needed to do just to fit in, were the ones who picked on the one who was brave enough and bold enough to stand alone. And even as adults, we see that same thing. We see that same mentality. Femininity is a mentality. It's a mentality. So no matter how much you dress yourself up, no matter how much a woman may paint her face, no matter how high, no matter how many inches in your high heels, it doesn't matter if your attitude is still ugly. It doesn't matter, you know? And it's, y'all, what do they say? Like, the meek will inherit the earth. You know, like I said, being popular, being attractive does not equal spiritual rank. Having a high following does not equal spiritual rank. Are there some chosen ones who have a high following? Yes, but that's because they are being authentic to self. What do they say? The truest form, right? The highest vibration is authenticity. People say it's love, which it actually is love. Because if you're authentic, then that means you have a true love of self. You love yourself enough to stand and be your true self, your authentic self. So it is a form of love. But authenticity, which is nothing but a form of self-love, is the highest vibration. And a lot of people don't have the courage to be their true self, to be their authentic self. And instead of just doing their shadow work, instead of just getting through their fears, instead of figuring out what it is that's holding them back and overcoming it, they would rather spend their time mocking and shaming the people that do. And I don't understand that. I don't get that herd mentality. Never have, never will. But at the end of the day, Spirit sees that. Spirit sees that you can put on as many dresses as you want. You can put on as many high heels as you want. You can put on as much makeup as you want. You can have as many followers as you want. At the end of the day, that man in the mirror, that woman in the mirror, that person that you're looking at, the person, the real you that's hiding behind the camera, Spirit sees that. Spirit sees that. Always has and always will. So until you learn to love self, until you learn to appreciate and value yourself, and then learn to appreciate and value those who do instead of looking down on them, you're going to forever be in this cycle. Y'all, pretty privilege does not equate spiritual rank. As always, if you made it this far, thank you for listening. Bye.